All right, baby, we're live. It's draft day, finally here. We'll let it breathe just for a couple beats here while we bring on Facebook, and we'll get tonight's conversation rolling. Excited to see everybody. Excited to finally climb out of that desert that was the driest period of Broncos news for an offseason in my living memory. Welcome in, everybody. This is the MHH NFL Draft Watch Along, Watch Party, whatever you want to call it. We're streaming live throughout the entire draft, not just today, day 2, day 3, every second of the draft. It's going to be a gas. Zach will be joining us here in just a few moments, but with me now, you know him, you love him. That's Erick Trickel. Eric, dude, what have you heard as the very latest bubbling beneath the surface of what the Broncos might be up to tonight?
Well, tonight, I'm not expecting much, but there's been a lot bubbling about a potential Kyle Pitts trade. And there's been a lot bubbling about if they do stick at 62, that probably looking at linebacker. That seems to be the word on the streets anyways. Either a Josiah Trotter or a Kyle Lewis seem to be the two names to keep an ear out for.
Wouldn't that be a little early for Lewis, Eric, in your estimation?
It would, but I mean, with the type of player that he is, with, being a former safety, the coverage ability that he brings, there isn't another linebacker in this class that has that range or that coverage ability or even that sideline to sideline pure speed that he brings. Very small, which is why I do think it is early, but he is a different type of linebacker than just about any other linebacker in this class.
I like him a lot. I really do. What about Trotter? What do you think about him as a fit?
I also think it would be a little bit early for him just because there is so much you need to develop with him in terms of coverage and even sideline to sideline ability. But between the tackles, I don't think there is a better linebacker in this class between the tackles. He is a thumper downhill. He's a pure stack backer who can, stack and toss those linemen to make the play. He does so well at that. But the good news for him and the other elements that need to be improved, he only turned 21 years old, I believe, on the 15th or 16th, so just last week. So he's still very young, still really putting it all together. And of course, he's got those NFL bloodlines that also help.
Yeah, there's some interesting players in this draft class, Eric, that have those NFL bloodlines, including the Styles. I was just watching a feature on them and their dad having won a Super Bowl with the Rams, the greatest show on turf, Rams, back in the day. So that's kind of cool. And guys, we have, as you know, anyone who's been with MHH for longer than a few months knows that we got a long road to hoe tonight. We're going to be on for the entire first round, all of tomorrow night, as I mentioned, day 2, and all of day 3. So in order for us to have that fun and just get straight to it, guys, we got to take a quick second to bring to your attention Underdog, because the NBA playoffs are finally here. The Nuggets back at it, right? And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. And if you're not on Underdog yet, it's super easy. You're in luck because new customers score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, assists, and all and so much more. You get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there are new promos dropping daily in the app.
Guys, Underdog is so much fun. The opportunity to watch basketball and just watch your favorite sports while winning money. I mean, it's a slam dunk. So sign up with Underdog. Download the app first. Sign up using our code MHuddle, and you'll score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, Eric, let's grab a few super chats real quick. The draft's kicking off now. Papa Bear, great to see you. We look forward to having you on the show on Monday night. He says, good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag God bless the USA and God bless Bo Nix. From your lips to God's ears, Papa Bear. Thank you, buddy. Shout out to Keith, celebrating 2 months back in the fold as a member, saying good evening, Broncos country. Great to have you. Great to have all the members in the house tonight. It's going to be a fun night. We got Sam Bam as well saying with a very generous super chat, evening MHH, as we go into the draft, just want to say how nice it is that we are not stressing about a potential QB nor player being drafted or not drafted. We have a franchise quarterback and a loaded roster. Go Broncos. Eric, it is nice. And it's crazy to think, man, how far this team has come in a relatively short amount of time. Now, that's not to say we didn't suffer for a long time. But what I'm saying is the bad, when it ended pretty quick. Sean Payton, George Payton, Bo Nix, they've turned this thing around.
Yeah, and with the whole not having to look for a quarterback, I am so glad that is the case this year with how this quarterback class is. We don't have to have the conversations about Ty Simpson or Drew Aller or Carson Beck or Taylor Green or any of those other guys. We can sit there and all that of the muddy conversation that surrounds those guys for various different reasons. Other teams, other fans, they get to have it. We can sit back. We can relax, especially tonight with Jalen Waddle being the Broncos' first-round pick. And this roster is pretty well loaded. There are still some holes on it, but Denver's in a prime position to fill those holes with what they do have. And again, Jalen Waddle was one heck of a first-round pick, and he is going to do big things for this offense with what he can open up for others on this offense.
Thank you again, Sam, and it's great to have you with us tonight, big dog. Sue Gibson, a dear member, says, my hope is that we're picking 32 next year. Amen to that, sister. How great would that be? Man, that would be absolutely magical in the mile high sense for sure. Eric, I got a question for you, dude. Where's Jeremiah Love going to fall? Where's he going to go, you think?
I think he goes top 5 at the very least. It sounds like either Arizona, if they don't move out of it, seem to be set on Jeremiah Love. If not them, then it's either the Titans or the Giants, it seems like. So one of those three, and it all depends on what the Cardinals do sitting at 3. If they trade out with the Saints and the Cowboys supposedly trying to get up to that spot, or if they just stay there and just take them.
We got Shannon Mills, who has become a legendary superstar and dear member in our midst, throwing down a very generous super chat tonight for the MHH watch along. Thank you, Shannon. Much love. Hope you're doing well. And congrats to everybody. You made it, gang. I mean, yeah, the Broncos don't have a pick tonight, but the draft is here and the action is starting. It's going to be a gas. So thank you, Shannon. She says, good evening. The draft has finally arrived. Looking forward to watching with the MHH fam. It should be fun. Yeah, the ideal thing, guys, is you turn it on your TV and then you open up the show on YouTube and listen in your ear or whatever. And bada bing, bada bang. It's going to be awesome. But thank you, Shannon. Much love and respect.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shannon. We appreciate you. And again, I know you were saying last week that you weren't feeling very well. I definitely hope that you are feeling better, especially with it being draft night.
All right. One thing I want to say real quick, Lance, before you hop in, just check your mic in the previous room. Not this room, the green room, but the previous room. Make sure you're all set up and all that stuff so that when you come on, there's no technical issues. And if you've already done that, feel free to pop on whenever, brother. Jetty Splash checking in. What's up, dude? Good to see another dear member and a superstar saying happy to hang out with you guys and watch the draft. It's going to be fun. Things are moving. You got a bunch of Steelers right now, Eric, at the podium because, of course, the draft's in Pittsburgh. So they're all celebrating. You think you'll ever see the NFL draft in Denver, Eric? Maybe after Bronco Land gets built in 2031.
I mean, they've tried, 2 separate occasions to get the draft now? I know they did a couple years ago for, I think, 2027 or 2028, and they got denied. They ended up not making the final cut for that. So I'm sure at some point they will. And it'll probably be after the new stadium and the new facilities and all that are all built and everything. And they have ample choices of where to host it at too.
Dang, I got to tell you, the crowd looks like Woodstock 99. It just did an aerial shot. I'm going, whoa. Because, I mean, I'm thinking back to when I was in Vegas, Zach and I, for what year was that? 2022. And there was a nice little pit of people, but maybe a quarter of what I just saw on, I guess that's just Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers fans are nuts, just like Broncos fans, just turning out. So if you can imagine the draft being in Denver, it would probably look something like that because Broncos fans are absolutely crazy about the team and the draft and all that stuff. So anyway, Pittsburgh, it looks like Eric is representing. Michaela, what's up? Jumping in with a generous super chat, my friend. I was just texting with her earlier. She's just, we're all just kind of equal parts laughing / kind of like dreading and just kind of disgusted by all the stuff that's been going on with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. It's just such a bummer. Busted and disgusted, unfortunately. But Michaela's here jumping in saying, for all of your hard work, man, I got to tell you, Duchess, you are awesome. Thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on, not just tonight, but month in and month out. Much love and respect.
Yeah, thank you so much, Duchess. We appreciate you. I can't express that enough. Hope you're doing well and hope you're excited for the draft. And hopefully the Broncos make the right choices that, you and every other Broncos fan is happy with.
Well, we're about to find out for sure exactly what the Raiders are going to be doing at number 1. It's not a big surprise. I mean, we all know it's going to be Mendoza, but he opted not to go to the draft. Even the NFL convinced Peyton Manning to give him a call and say, hey, could you try and convince this dude to come to the draft? And Peyton gave it a shot. And Mendoza said, no, I'm going to stay at home as the number 1. This is one of those situations, Eric, in this draft where we've known who the number 1 overall pick was going to be for months. And it doesn't always shake out that way, right? Like you have your Andrew Lucks, you have your Trevor Lawrences, you can go even further back, your Peyton Mannings, where it's telegraphed and evident and obvious. We all know who's going number 1. It's kind of been like that. And yet he's not going to go to the draft. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but it's an understandable decision to, want to spend at home with your family and not all that fanfare and stuff like that. But, I got to make a reference to the worst but best movie to watch on draft day, and that is Draft Day. Maybe he's Bill Callahan. Maybe his teammates don't like him talking about the Raiders passing on him. Maybe they pass on him. It throws everything out of loop, and he ends up going undrafted. Question is, did his teammates go to his 21st birthday party?
Dude, yeah, right. Is he a twin? He has a sibling sitting next to him on the couch that looks exactly like him, same size and everything. I don't know, kind of weird. All right, we got a couple MHHers in the house. Let's say hello to them. We got Carl Dumler. What's up? The bearded wonder, the most glorious beard in MHH. By the way, again, Michaela, love you. Thank you again so much, my friend. And we also have Lance Sanderson checking in. What's up, brother? Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Carl, how you feeling about things? I mean, obviously the Broncos don't have a pick, but what are you most looking forward to tonight relative to round 1?
I think probably, just for round 1, see what the Chiefs do. I mean, we know what the Raiders are doing. Chargers, I guess they're going to charger. I'm not going to worry too much about them, but the Chiefs having 2 picks and actually having some very big needs. Are they going to have to reach for a guy at some point? Are they going to take cornerback first? Or are they going to wait for cornerback later on in the first? I'm just kind of interested to see how they decide to go about this, to rebuild their team after having, obviously for them, a very down year. It doesn't take too much to bounce back, but at the same time, depending on some rookies, going to be a real problem for them with Chargers and Broncos looking like they are right now. So I just want to see who they get. I have a couple players I don't want them to take, a couple players I really kind of hope they take. So we'll see how that goes.
How about you, Lance?
Well, just the rumors that have been swirling around over the last handful of days. Obviously, what Carl was just kind of talking about there, the AFC West. What do the Chargers do at 23 overall? Like that's going to be fun. But I believe it was Dane Brugler had like 9 offensive linemen or like 7 offensive linemen, something like that in the first round. And there's Field Yates from ESPN was saying that in his mock draft, it was heavily loaded up on wide receivers and offensive linemen this year. And then one that's been kind of a really fun draft nugget going around is the amount of trades. Like there's people saying that there could be upwards of like 6 or 7 trades in the first round this year. So I'm just curious to see how many actually come to fruition and if we get one inside the top 5. Like I really like the idea of Dallas pairing 12 and 20 overall to try to get in the top 5 to come and get a pass rusher or maybe even a wide receiver, given the fact that George Pickens just signed his franchise tag right before the draft went live. So interesting development there. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited for tonight. You're muted, Chad.
It's fun. We got the pick is in officially for the Raiders, by the way. So we're rocking and rolling. Cody, what's up, dude? Good to see you. How are you? Thank you for the super chat and for being a member. Wonder what Miami's going to do with Denver's pick. Well, we'll find out tonight, 30th overall. Eric, I mean, I don't expect you to have the needs mapped of every single team in the NFL, but what do you think the Dolphins will do with pick 30?
I would not be surprised at all if they end up trading it away. As a team looks to get up for Ty Simpson, they know that the Arizona Cardinals, they're sitting at 34, are the team that they kind of got to get ahead of. And, the Seahawks, they are open for business at 32. Sounds like the Patriots are kind of wanting to stand pat at 31. So maybe, 30, that's that spot where other teams might be looking at getting up to try to keep Arizona from trying to get up. But Arizona can also just say, we're not going to wait, and we're going to give you 34 and more and get up to 30 and get it. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they don't end up making the pick at 30.
All right. Goodell's at the podium. Here it is. The Las Vegas Raiders select Mendoza officially. It's done. Reaction. Carl, your thoughts with Mendoza arriving in the AFC West? It's a tough division for a rookie, even a Heisman guy and a national champion. The number 1 overall pick has to face Bo Nix in the Broncos twice, Pat Mahomes in the Chiefs twice, Justin Herbert in the Chargers twice.
Yeah, I mean, I wish he was going to any other team. Then I could actually cheer for him, because I do think he is a good guy. Listening to him do any interview, you fall in love with him. It's going to be interesting to see his personality in Vegas, of all places. But I think that's a good first pick for their new coaching staff. And, he doesn't have to start right away with Kirk Cousins there. So maybe get a little bit of time to acclimate to the NFL. I think he's going to be a solid quarterback. I don't really view him as a guy that's going to be a top 7 quarterback. He's got a high floor, but I don't think he has the highest ceiling by any means.
What do you think, Lance?
I'm kind of with Carl there. If I were to go back and plug Fernando Mendoza into the draft class that Bo Nix was in, he would be right around that same area as Bo Nix in terms of the draft grade, not where they were actually selected, to probably that second round quarterback. Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., both of them were second round players that ended up getting taken to the top 10 because that quarterback class was just that good. So I think that Mendoza is just a notch below where Bo Nix would have ranked in my particular rankings that year. And I think he probably would have been below Cam Ward if you stack all those guys together as well. So, I mean, he's a good enough quarterback to be worth the number 1 selection, just because this quarterback class is not necessarily great to begin with. But, I mean, he's going to fit in nicely down there in Las Vegas. He's got the personality for it. He's a bright individual, very smart football player, kind of has some tools, better athlete than most people want to give him credit for. 6'5", very tall, decent arm, good processor. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out and how the Raiders continue to build this team around him, and maybe they can put some offensive line in front of him over the next couple of days here in the NFL draft.
We got David Youngkin jumping in saying, what's fun about this draft is that the Broncos can sit back and watch. It's nice not to have to stress out. Well, that's definitely one way of looking at it. No doubt about it. It feels nice. There's less stress. We can all just kind of see how it's going to shake out. But the Jets right now, they got 3.5 minutes left on the clock. The pick is not yet in. Eric, who do you expect going here?
I would expect one of the pass rushers, either Arvella Reese or David Bailey. And I am very interested to see which one it is, because over the last week, it's been from big time media guys. One night it's Arvella Reese. The next morning it's David Bailey. Then later that afternoon it's back to Arvella Reese, only for it to be back to David Bailey just later that night. It's been such a back and forth that I am very interested to see which one they land on.
Thank you, Sue, for being an awesome member and for the generous super chat. She says, thank you guys for a great podcast every night. Well, thank you again. And we're just getting started. So buckle up, buckle in, so to speak. We got Zach joining us. Zack Kelberman. What's up, brother?
What's up, yo?
He's officially a Raider. So who's starting at quarterback week 1 for the Raiders? Is it going to be Mendoza or is it going to be Cousins?
Well, who really cares? I would assume it's going to be the number 1 overall pick, Chad. But they could go with the veteran just to give him the Alex Smith treatment and kind of work Mendoza in there. Ultimately, though, I don't think they're going to be saved by either quarterback, and the Raiders are for another year going to be the Raiders.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. It'll be fun to see how it shakes out. Carl, the pick is in. You think it's Reese? You think it's Bailey? What's your bold prediction?
I lean towards David Bailey. I think he fits more the kind of edge rusher that they like. I think he's the better pure day one kind of guy. Arvella Reese, I mean, the nice thing is with him, if he doesn't work at edge, you can say, oh, we're going to move him back to off ball and see how he can do there. But I still think it's going to be David Bailey. He's just got a little bit more. We know what he is. This is what he can do. And we can plug and play him day one.
It's going to be interesting. They'll be announcing it at the podium here shortly. Zach, we've seen folks kind of sharing the sentiment that it's nice to not have to be worried about who they can, Broncos country can kind of kick back and just watch and see how things unfold tonight.
Right.
Is that how you feel? No less pressure tonight to see, who are they going to pick?
Yeah, but you miss that kind of adrenaline rush with the Broncos being on the clock. And it's kind of like a fantasy draft. You kind of have that hype anticipation about getting your guy to pick. And either you get him and you're elated or you don't get him and you're disappointed. I kind of miss that rush tonight, although it's nice not having to worry too much either.
All right, we got Kamish coming to the podium. Let's see. Let's see what he says. Second pick. Jet select. David Bailey. Interesting. Almost every mock I saw it was more often it was Reese, but Bailey jumps him. Eric, your thoughts on the pick, dude?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of back and forth, and then I think a lot of people started settling on Reese for the Jets after they canceled their meeting with David Bailey. But I was just reading from someone on Twitter, Jordan Schultz, I think it might have been, that basically they canceled that meeting because they wanted everyone to think that it was Reese, so that teams didn't, try harder to come get the pick and make them an offer they couldn't refuse really, because they just wanted David Bailey, and they seemed pretty set on him fairly early in the process.
Sam Bam says, no, the crowd looks like Woodstock 99 times 99. Geez, that's a lot of people. I'm telling you, man, Steelers fans, very similar to Broncos fans in that they travel, they're passionate. This is their home city, so they're out in force, give them their props for today anyway. Plus, you got all the other fans that have flown in from across the fruited plain and around the world. It's pretty cool, though. It's a lot of people. Zach, I don't know if you've seen the aerial shots yet, but it's certainly more than the mosh pit style we saw when we were in Vegas, for example. And Lance, when you were there in New York, I would bet money that this is a bigger crowd than what was out there in New York. But all right. So what do we got next, guys? Carl, what do you expect to see pick 3?
This is the spot I expect the first trade. I think Cardinals have been pretty adamant about trying to get a trade back option. I think if they stay, I've heard Jeremiah Love seems to be a pretty popular player for them. Their owner is one that really kind of bends to fans. We heard it with the coaching hire. They had kind of a guy that they really liked, and all of a sudden the fans kind of got word of it, and fans were pushing back against him. They said, no, never mind. We're going to go with this guy. And so getting a guy like Jeremiah Love, he's going to get people in the stands, people buying his jerseys, even though I don't think that's the pick they should make. Running back's one of those, you take him when you've got everything else built up. But like I said, he's going to be a big seller for them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, Lance. I mean, do they make a pick here? Do they take a running back, Jeremiah Love? What do you think?
I find it interesting that a bunch of it seemed like Arvella Reese has been like the more popular pick to the Jets there, and I wonder if with Reese still on the board, if they actually stay and take Reese, who I have as the number 2 player on my board, which is on all of my social channels. You guys go check it out at @LanceS_MHH, and for those on Facebook that follow me as well over there. Reese is dominant. He might be the best off-ball linebacker in this class, not named Sonny Styles, and he definitely is the best edge player in this class. So I also don't think that the Cardinals right now are ready to take a player like Jeremiah Love. It's the same argument that we had with the Raiders last year, where they don't have the infrastructure to like put a running back into that particular team and have it be a success. Their offensive line needs a lot of work. They still are trying to figure out that quarterback position right now. So Reese really wouldn't surprise me to see if he is the pick here, but I mean, there's so many different options available to trade out, to take in Love. Like this is going to be, this really is the turning point of the top 10, at least in my opinion, with Bailey going at 2 and not Reese. That like this really could shake a whole bunch of stuff up here.
Yeah, because after the Cards, it's Tennessee at 4, Giants at 5, Cleveland at 6, Washington at 7, Saints at 8, Chiefs at 9, and then Cincinnati? Or is that who has 10 now?
The Giants.
The Giants got it from Cincy. All right, now I see what I'm reading right. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know, Eric, what this pick's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken a while. It's showing that they have right about a minute, 20 seconds left. Pick isn't in, so they seem to be working those phones for some sort of trade and hoping that they can get it done, move back. They want those extra picks. But I just saw it, like, they end up making the pick. Gonna spoil it, but it is Jeremiah Love, and they take the running back. And I will push back on one thing Lance said. One thing the Arizona Cardinals have is they actually have a pretty good offensive line. So they're pretty set, and they filled in the one hole that they had at left guard with Isaac Suomolo. They brought him in. Paris Campbell has really come along at left tackle. They've got a good center. Right tackle is Elijah Wilkinson, who he's been solid for them. Could still use an upgrade, but their offensive line is pretty good. They need somebody to take the pressure off whoever ends up being their starting quarterback, whether it is the guy they have whose name escapes me at the moment, or they do trade up later to get Ty Simpson. Jacoby Brissett. That's the guy that they have right now.
When's the last time a running back, Zach, was drafted in the top 3? I'm saying it somewhat rhetorically. I really don't know, but that's pretty high for a running back. You think Love's going to justify that draft pedigree?
Maybe. You've seen it in kind of years past with Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. If you take the right running back in the right situation, he could give you some return on investment. But you have to look at what the Cardinals are doing. Yeah, they're missing a quarterback. That's the biggest need, obviously. But they have a nice little nucleus. They remind me of the Raiders. Now they have Trey McBride. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. You took Love. You can do something if you just get a quarterback there, but that's always the biggest if.
No doubt. Man, okay. Real quick, Carl, your thoughts on the pick? I'm doing some research on the last time a running back was drafted that high.
So if I remember right, Saquon Barkley would have been up there. I think number 2, number 3.
2.
And then Trent Richardson is another one that was taken top 5 there by Cleveland. So it's kind of hit and miss of how that always works out. I mean, Barkley, obviously his best years were not with the team that drafted him, going to the Eagles and having the career that he had. But I mean, I love the player. Barkley is a top 3 player in this draft. There's no getting around that. It's just the positional value. He is now the 7th highest paid running back, if I remember right, in the NFL. So he's going to have to really live up to everything day one. You know, there's no, can he just be borderline top 10? If you take offensive tackle or edge or wide receiver or quarterback, you can be a 15th best or 20th best at your position, and it still be great return on the value of what you bring to the table. Running back, you have to be a top 3, 4, 5 guy in the NFL to justify this kind of pick. That's a lot of pressure.
It is. Just some quick research. The last time a running back was drafted, number 2 or number 3. So number 2, you were right, Saquon Barkley, 2018, Reggie Bush, 06. And then number 3 overall, Trent Richardson was the last one back in 2012. It's been that long. That's crazy to me that Trent Richardson being way overdrafted. It's been that long.
It's just not a position that's valued. You know, it's like Eric said, if you don't have an offensive line, it's hard to ever see the value. Genty last year for the Raiders. That was a wasted rookie season for a guy that is that talented because he just couldn't get any kind of blocking. I mean, his yards yards before contact was one of the worst in the NFL. Now, yes, they've worked on their offensive line a little bit this offseason, but at the same time, that was one of those picks again. It's great to take a running back and have a real talent at that position, but you better have some pieces around them to make that work. And right now, hopefully Cardinals can do that with their offensive line. Maybe they can get quarterback figured out. I just, like I said, for me, that would not be the pick I would make at this point.
Lance, you were going to say something, bud?
Well, I was just going to kind of piggyback off of what Carl was just saying, and I forgot that the Cardinals got Sumalo in there, and I know Paris Johnson's phenomenal at left tackle, but still, I mean, they're just so far away to be able to plug in a player like that right now. Zach made kind of a good point here with Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., but I mean, I don't know. The more you think about it, the more you digest it. I actually kind of think I like it, and just to add some more dynamic playmaking ability. I mean, Jeremiah Love is arguably the best running back we've seen taken in the NFL draft, but since Todd Gurley. And I love Bijan Robinson. I love Saquon Barkley, but Jeremiah Love is a special tier of a player. I mean, he's incredibly athletic. He's explosive. He has a hurdle in his game that he uses frequently. A very, very good receiver out of the backfield. He's got natural hands. He's a quality pass protector. I mean, you add a player like that to an offense that has some potential to it. There is definitely potential. It's just, it all depends on what the quarterback position is. And as Carl said, you're the 6th, 7th, maybe 8th highest paid running back or something like that in the NFL. You need that early return. And again, the more I chew on it, the more I actually kind of like it. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. You're going to hear that.
It's tasting good to Lance. Eric, this kind of begs a question to me, and that is, with him going so high, Love number 3 overall, do you think we're going to see another running back taken in the first round tonight?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. And if it is, it'd probably be Jadarian Price, but it'll probably be very late in the first round, 32nd overall. There's been a lot of love there from Seattle for Jadarian Price. But we do have the Titans are staying at pick number 4. They're on the clock and their pick is in. And it is a surprise.
Spit it, Eric.
It's Carnell Tate.
Wow. I'm texting back and forth with my father-in-law right now, and he's you got to run the card in for Arvella Reese here. He's like, well, maybe they would take Carnell Tate, and to see them do that, I mean, this again here, going back to where the Titans are. I mean, they have made some fortifications that probably could still use some offensive line help, but to get Cam Ward, a dynamic, quality playmaker, and to just help push that offense another step forward, man, this is. I like this one a lot. It makes a lot of sense to go and get a player of this caliber. I mean, separate over the top if you need him to. He's got great body control. This is fun. Well, I'm already having the time of my, I want to say a bad word here, life.
Zach, Cam Ward, he's got a shiny new weapon headed his way, dude.
If you're a Broncos fan that liked the Jalen Waddle trade but doesn't like this pick, then you're a hypocrite, because the Tennessee Titans did exactly what you're supposed to do when you have a young quarterback. Raise your hand if you can name one dynamic playmaker on the Titans offense last season. And Chig Okonkwo doesn't count at tight end, by the way. They needed a player for Cam Ward. He showed some good tape toward the end of the season, pretty rough season overall. But I agree with Lance. This is what you do when you have a young quarterback. The same thing the Broncos did by acquiring Jalen Waddle, basically their first-round pick.
Do you like it, Carl, this move for the Titans, or do you think they stepped over $1 to pick up a dime?
I like it. I'm a big Carnell Tate fan. Now, some of that might be the Ohio State system. They have been producing high-quality NFL starters at the wide receiver position for years now, but I still think he's a really good overall guy. I don't think he has any one great quality that you're looking at, but he's good at everything. He's a proficient route runner. He's got decent speed. He's not going to take the top off of a defense by any means. He's got good hands. He's a hard worker, you can tell. So there's just a lot of really good things. He's got a very high floor for the wide receiver position. And as was said, Cam Ward, you got to get him some weapons. If you're going to ever figure out if he is an actual NFL starter that you can be leaning on for the next 10 plus years, you've got to surround him with something. I always think of the worst job I've ever seen in the NFL for a quarterback was either David Carr with the Texans and what they did to him, or Sam Darnold with the Jets. both those teams pretty much said, hey, we're going to draft you really high and you're going to have to fix every problem we have on the offense. And it didn't work out for either of those guys. Now, thankfully, Sam Darnold later on had a lot of success, but same thing with Cam Ward. If you don't make a move like this, you're starting to question, can you even tell? Because by year 3, you got to start making decisions. Is this the guy?
I gotta just real quick dial it back. I know we're talking about Tate here, but I missed this from Mr. Producer in the chat because, of course, Scott covering the Falcons. We talked a lot during this free agency period about Tyler Algier perhaps becoming a Bronco and how he's looking to get out from under the shadow of Bijan. He signs with the Cardinals. Now he finds himself likely to be buried behind the number 3 overall pick in the draft. Scott says the flip side on this, though, is if they hit the savings on the back end, Bijan, for example, is $7 million, should be $20 million. His 5th-year option is the lowest in the NFL at $11 million. So kind of interesting how that could work out, Eric.
Yeah, and his guaranteed money is about $20 million more than Saquon Barkley, who previously had the highest guarantee for a running back in the NFL. Love is over 50 million. It's like 52.3 or something like that. And going back to the Titans with Tate, they were very much in on Jeremiah Love. That seemed to be who they wanted there the most. And when obviously he goes at 3, they go Tate. And the reason why is what everybody else has said. They wanted to put the pieces around Cam Ward to go get it. A lot of people thought they would move back and then get the receiver then. But instead of doing that, instead of risking, however many spots they move down, one of those teams ahead of them going and taking them, they just stay put. They take them there, and they got somebody who should be a very good weapon for Cam Ward in an offense that lacks weapons.
All right. So if you're just joining us, guys, it was, of course, Mendoza, number 1 overall to the Raiders. It was David Bailey to the Jets, the rush linebacker. Edge rusher at Arizona, number 3, Jeremiah Love, the running back, number 4, Tennessee, Carnell Tate, the wide receiver. So now we got the Giants coming up here, and it looks like the pick is in, Eric. Any word on what it is yet?
Yeah, somebody in the chat asked why Arvella Reese is falling. Well, he's not anymore. He's a Giant, and now keep an ear out for Kayvon Thibodeau to be traded.
It kind of reminds me, Zach, of John Elway. We ran 8 billion trillion simulations in the 2018 draft, and Bradley Chubb was never there at number 5. And so he was there. That's why we took him and not Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or, what have you.
I'll quote you, something you say all the time. You can't look a gift horse in the mouth. Someone who fell right into your lap, a player that can help you from day one, a player that is intersecting with a major need you have. I can't profess to know the inside and outs of the Giants defense and how they project for 2026. All I can tell you was I was in the stands watching that Giants come back, and they need all the defensive help they can get. So good move for them and smart move by them.
And we have a trade. The Kansas City Chiefs moved up to number 6. The Chiefs are on the clock.
To number 6, Chiefs move up. Okay, Carl, who they after, dude?
Oh man, this is I guess probably maybe edge. I would say. I mean, because that's definitely been a position. Cornerback, wide receiver. I mean, there's a lot of directions they could go here. I'd probably say Reuben Bain. I mean, I know they've been really connected to him quite a bit, and I think they just are a little bit worried after a couple edge rushers already going that they're not going to make it to their pick at 9. So I probably would lean that direction.
What do you think? What do you think, Lance? You got a gut feeling on what this trade's about?
Bain makes the most sense in terms of fitting into Steve Spagnuolo defense with hand in the dirt, 7 technique defensive end that you like to see, quality run defender, twitchy explosive pass rusher. Doesn't bend nearly as much, but that's the archetype of players. I mean, the lack of length for sure in his arms is definitely going to be cause for concern here. I'm going to kind of pivot here though. Seeing Carnell Tate go to the Titans just a couple of picks ago, I wonder if this is Jordan Tyson to try to get a wide receiver for Pat Mahomes, like an explosive playmaking threat. Yeah, there's injury concerns there, but that's wide receiver 1 on many draft analyst boards. If it's not Tate, it's Jordan Tyson, and that's the type of playmaker that the Chiefs like to have. I mean, he's not quite the best route runner, but I mean, you want to talk about explosiveness, run after the catch ability, balanced body control. He's got everything that you want to be a true, legitimate wide receiver number one at the NFL level.
It's neither. The pick is
Whoa.
Who is it?
It is Mansour Delane, cornerback from LSU.
Okay.
Interesting. All right, so Zach, is this about the arms race in the AFC West? I mean, they got rid of all their corners, so it was an obvious need. But you think this is somehow an answer to how Denver took over the division last season?
All this just to keep up with Bo Nix and the Broncos offense. It's sad how far the Chiefs have fallen now. And I don't know. I was assuming as well it was going to be for a receiver, a playmaker for Pat Mahomes. I could see why they went corner here. They need help in their secondary, but I don't know. We'll see.
What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, they had been working on trying to get up for a few days now, and it's been reported that they apparently had the agreement with the Browns made a few days ago. There was a lot of worry about the Cowboys getting up, and the Cowboys supposedly their only target with the move up wasn't an edge rusher, it was Delane, and the Cowboys had still been trying to move up. They were one of the teams trying to get to number 4 for Delane. So they just got up there, outbid the Cowboys, got to number 6, got the guy that they've been targeting for a while.
Someone take it from here for a second. I'm finishing out a tweet I got to post real quick.
This is pretty interesting to me with Delane. I mean, like I like Mansour Delane a lot. I mean, it got good size, prototypical athlete. Like he's very good. And like Zach says, I mean, that secondary needs a ton of help. And to go and get the top cornerback in the class, like this to me, it's a surprise because I really thought that they were going to be in on Bain early. But I wonder how much, if anything, the car accident that he was in a couple of years ago really kind of bounced them off of that, and maybe the opportunity, like Eric said, to move up with the Browns to go and get him was just too enticing for them to pass up. Eric, I don't know what you think on that.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't sound like that Bain with the off-field stuff that has come up that teams have known about for a while. They seemed content with that, but they seem set on replacing Trent McDuffie. And words come out that apparently the Washington Commanders were poised to take Delane here at 7. So we'll have to see what they do. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they turn and pivot towards Sonny Styles.
Am I seeing a Browns trade?
That was the Chiefs trade up.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Duh. Okay. So on the clock right now, after the Chiefs have made their selection of Mansour, Washington. Keep talking about your number 7 forecast, fellas.
Oh, I could see wide receiver here. Jordan Tyson, I think, would be very enticing. See what I did there. But no, he makes a lot of sense. You got to get some weapons. McLaurin is great, but he's getting on the wrong side of 30 now, and you just don't have very much else. Jaden Daniels needs some help. And to me, if we're talking the most pure, talented wide receiver in this draft, it's not Carnell Tate. I think it's Jordan Tyson. You watch him when he is healthy, that guy is about as explosive as they come. He is in and out of breaks. I mean, he's just open almost every play, it seems like. But then every other play, he's hurt. So you got to weigh those two things. And I could see Washington being willing to take that kind of risk right now and just say, hey, if it hits, we've got ourselves a huge playmaker, and our offense gets right back in there to being a top 10 offense.
Yeah, I think the injury concerns are the big thing with Jordan Tyson. I mean, there was a torn ACL, I believe, back when he was at the University of Colorado a couple of seasons ago. I believe he broke his collarbone as well. But then this last season was hamstring after hamstring after hamstring. In fact, he played one game. I don't remember. I think it was the SMU game. He played with 2 bad hamstrings, caught a touchdown pass in that game, if I remember correctly. But that's the big thing with him. The talent is there for sure to be, like Carl says, a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. I didn't like his route running because I don't think he gets to depth quite as often as he should. He kind of cuts some routes off a little bit early, but it also helps him to just create gobs of separation. And Eric, am I misremembering here? Didn't he have some drop issues there a little bit as well when he was at Arizona State, or am I thinking of his time back at Colorado? I remember drops being a part of his profile.
I think he did, but I am not sure off the top of my head. I'd have to look at my notes for that.
Let me tell you what I am sure of, guys. We should start a band called Gobs of Separation. All right, but who's going to be the singer? Carl, you're the singer, dude, with the beard. You'll intimidate the crowd, and get everybody kind of like, whoa, this is a serious band, this Gobs of Separation. Guys, on that note, Zach and I, we're going to take a break and dip out for a minute and let the draft guys continue talking about things. We'll be dipping in and out throughout, so it won't be the last you see from us, but much love and respect. Zach, some thoughts real quick before you just dip out for a bit.
God bless Bo Nix.
There you have it. All right, guys,
Yes,
take it over for a sec.
Yeah, so we're sitting with Washington on the board. We have a couple guys that are falling in Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs has some injury stuff. And Washington, really, they can use either of them. They also could still use Tyson. They have a lot more needs. They were one of the older rosters, if I remember correctly, last year. They decided to let some of those aging players go. So there's a lot of different ways they can go. Arvella Reese, Adam Schefter's reported that even though the Giants drafted him, they're not looking at trading Kayvon Thibodeau. Makes me wonder if they're going to be playing him as a linebacker more early on in his career and kind of that, that downhill blitz type linebacker, which is something that they definitely needed. But it was the Titans taking Tate at 4 kind of, mixed things up a little bit. And then the trade, even though it seemed to be agreed upon a while ago and the Chiefs having really locked in on Delane, it's definitely also has shaken things up a little bit.
I did want to say real quick, I know it's always different for NFL teams, but the NFL value chart, if you're looking at that, the Chiefs ended up giving up almost 1,000 points worth of value in that trade.
Yeah, and we do have the Commanders pick. Any guesses if you haven't seen it?
I'll go Sonny Styles.
I would say Styles or Caleb Downs.
It's Sonny Styles. Sonny Styles is going to the Washington Commanders there for a while. Last year, they were so slow at linebacker. I remember watching them prior to that Broncos game. And if you could match up any kind of speed element against those linebackers, it was basically a win for you. They were very slow. Sonny Styles definitely brings athleticism, speed, and a physical player to that linebacker core.
Weren't they trotting out the corpse of Bobby Wagner last year, or am I misremembering that? And Bobby Wagner is a Hall of Fame player. Like, don't get me wrong here, but in year 14 or 15 that he's in right
27.
now, year 85 at least to this point. I think he's 45 years old, but to get speed, dynamic playmaking ability, like Sonny Styles with the switch down from safety, he bulked up as well. Like this dude's just incredible. The showing that he put at the combine was so much fun, and he fits in with Dan Quinn's defense. tremendously. He is that Bobby Wagner type. Like, he is going to be a player very much in that similar mold as that. We got Anthony Edwards 77552 jumping in here, a member over on YouTube, guys. If you're on YouTube, make sure you go to Mile High Huddle's YouTube page, become a member, subscribe to us, please. It means a lot of support. You get some premium content here as well. $10 super chat saying, glad to see y'all even without a first round pick. Thanks for all you do. Let's go MHH Buckham. And thank you, Anthony, for joining us. Thank you all for joining us here. We've got 261 concurrent viewers, a handful of likes and heart emojis over on Facebook as well. It means a lot that one, we get to be able to do this for you guys, and that you guys are joining along with us and doing this. So thank you all for being here. Carl, your thoughts on Sonny Styles to the Washington Commanders here at number 7 overall?
I think it's a good pick for them. I mean, we're talking again, another guy that you could argue is a top 5 player in the draft. Yes, it's not the most important position by any means, or the most valuable position, but having a guy that is that size, can run like that, and can become just the general of your defense. And I do think Dan Quinn, if there's a head coach that's really on the hot spot right now, it's probably him. Down year this past year, I get Jaden Daniels was hurt, but it was also your side of the ball. Defense wasn't exactly the greatest unit in the NFL. And so being able to replace some of those guys, and like I said, I mean, he worked with Seattle when they had Bobby Wagner before, so he's got a little bit of experience. He knows how to use a linebacker well. And I think that's just a really good fit to get him here at 7. When some people were talking possibly pick 3 for Sonny Styles, I think is pretty good value at this point.
Yeah, we have David Youngkin coming in asking what the Chiefs gave up to move up to 6 to select Delane. They gave up number 9 overall, 74 and 148 to get up there and get him. And the broadcast, they're just now announcing Delane. We are on actually pick 8 now, who is the New Orleans Saints. And they have been, maybe this is where Caleb Downs goes. This is also a possibility for Jordan Tyson that they've been linked to, but we are, well, I should put it this way. The broadcast is very far behind but where we actually are. And with the Chiefs trade, it's worth remembering, again, they traded away Trent McDuffie. They do have another first-round pick from that trade, and they also lost Jalen Watson. So they lost 2 of their top 3 corners from last year, and also, I believe, lost one of their safeties and lost one of their starting linebackers too. So that defense took a hit. So they need to do something to try to keep it somewhat intact at least.
And I would add the defensive line wasn't exactly that great either. Chris Jones is getting up there in age. You could tell this last year, he kind of took some plays off. You know, he kind of picked and chose when he wanted to give 100% effort. And I'm trying to remember, I think it's the Jaguars game that everybody got after him because he could have stopped a game-winning touchdown, but he just started walking. And then beyond that, there's not a whole lot more on that defensive line that you look at and say, yep, that's a great player. And that's why I'm a little bit surprised that they went corner when they've been really good at taking corner later in the draft. You know, Trent McDuffie was a little bit later pick than obviously top 10. They've gotten a lot of guys in those late rounds that they've turned into starters. And they've been able to make that secondary work without having to get premier players and still be a top 10 unit. So that's why I'm a little bit surprised that they decided to go this direction instead of edge, or I guess there's not really a defensive lineman that you should take at that point, but, or wide receiver. You know, now you're kind of, it's a little bit wonky when you're looking at that wide receiver core that they have. They've got a lot of speed, but not a whole lot else.
Now we have the Saints pick is in. If you haven't seen it, who's your guys' guess for who the Saints are taking?
To me, I would go Jordan Tyson here to pair with Chris Olave. I mean, the concussion concerns with Olave are definitely very real, and he's going to have to continue to get back and bounce back from that. I mean, was it a couple seasons ago he suffered 3 concussions in like 6 weeks or something like that? Like there's injury concerns there. Adding another injury-prone player for sure is definitely a scary proposition for that particular room. But if you want to pair a dynamic route runner in Chris Olave, Eric, I remember you had him as wide receiver 1 in that class, and that was the same year that was that Drake London and Garrett Wilson. Like I believe
he wasn't my wide receiver 1.
Oh, I thought you said he had him at wide receiver 1. Okay.
Garrett Wilson was my wide receiver 1.
Okay, my bad. Regardless, misremembering some stuff here. Here we go. It's going to be a long weekend. But to add another dynamic playmaker for Tyler Shuck, who showed some flashes towards the later end of last season. I mean, like, you want to help out a young quarterback and build up that room a little bit. Jordan Tyson makes a lot of sense here.
Carl, do you have a guess, or have you seen it?
I mean, I've seen it, so I know. I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe not that the Saints aren't taking offensive line, but I'm surprised we haven't had a single offensive lineman taken yet when there was talk of 7 to 8 of them taken in the first round. I know that the teens is where that's really going to take off, and the 20s as well with a few teams, but I guess I'm a little bit shocked, and I guess I'll give it away here. It is Jordan Tyson, which I do think is a good pick. He's a high risk, high reward player. And with the young quarterback that showed something last year, and like I said, Olave, he's a really good wide receiver. You're going to have to see, having 2 very injury-prone wide receivers would definitely make me nervous as a coach. How do we game plan when we don't know who's going to be available week to week? But at the same time, adding that level of dynamic player is a huge win for your quarterback. And it just shows your quarterback, hey, we believe in you. We believe that you're going to turn into something, and that's why we are giving you every chance to go out there and be successful. And I mean, it's why I love what the Broncos did this year. You know, you're not going to get that kind of player at pick 30. So what do? You go trade that for Jalen Waddle. And I just have to say, I have a friend. He has a real connection with getting NFL jerseys. And he contacted me and said, hey, would you like any NFL jerseys? And I said, I've been really looking at getting one for my daughter. and he said, Jalen Waddle jersey on the way. And it came in today. So I got to give my daughter her very first jersey, and it was
Nice.
Jalen Waddle. And I thought, hey, it's just very fitting that is our first round pick. And I might have also told him to throw one my way as well. So I have a Jalen Waddle jersey as well. And I don't usually get jerseys of players that have not played a single snap for the Broncos. I'm the get to the game late. Champ Bailey at the end of his career, not at the very beginning with the Broncos, or Von Miller or DT, those kind of things. But I really love Jalen Waddle. I just think he's a really cool dude. And I just believe in him that much that he's going to be a great player for the Broncos. And so my daughter and I get to have matching jerseys now. And so, yeah, I've got mine. I'll show it off here a little bit later in the stream. Maybe when we get to pick 30, I'll hold it up for the stream to see.
I was hoping you'd change into it live on stream.
Give him a real show here today, huh?
Let's do it. I'm here for that live. This would be awesome.
But we have George Fox coming in saying, thanks, guys. Your insight on the draft makes it a great time, even if you don't have any picks until tomorrow. Denver Broncos 5 for life. Hit the thumbs up, guys. Definitely make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. It really does help us out on that. And Carl, I just got to say, at least Jalen Waddle is one that makes sense. I have 5-player jerseys. John Elway, of course, that was handed down. Then a Tim Tebow. I have a Derek Wolfe, a Danny Trevathan, and then a Duke Iheanacho. Those are the 5 jerseys of players that I have. So none of them fit.
Wait a minute, Duke Iheanacho. Where the heck does that come from, bro?
It's the greatest pull of a jersey ever.
And I am a big Underdog guy. So like, as soon as he cracked the starting lineup, I'm like, yeah, I got to get one.
Speaking of Underdog, guys, we read tonight.
credit to you. That's a deep cut. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
that's
man,
fun.
That's
man.
great.
So, Carl, you're gonna have to hook me up because I got a long list of jerseys I need to get. Specifically, a Demaryius Thomas jersey would definitely go very. Actually, no, I just got one. My wife just got me one. Never mind. I need a Champ Bailey jersey for sure, and John Lynch, man, I would love to get a John Lynch jersey.
It's not really a surprise. But we do have our first offensive lineman taken. The Browns, many expected them to take the Miami tackle. They're at 6 had they stayed put. But after trading down, they don't take him there. They take Spencer Fano, which is out of Utah, which is interesting with what they've been building there and doesn't really fit the archetype of what Todd Monken has really preferred with his offensive lineman. So I'm very intrigued by seeing the vision with him. Do they see him as a tackle? I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if they see him as a guard there in Cleveland.
I like the pick. I think he's, like you said, he's got that inside outside ability if you need him to. And I guess I'm not surprised that he's the first offensive tackle taken. You got a couple injury concerns with a couple of the other guys. You've got others that have really good traits, but not such great tape. And so I feel like Fano is maybe the cleanest guy of the top offensive tackles when you're looking at weaknesses or red flags or whatever you want to call it. I think that he'll be decent. You're right. I'm a little bit surprised with the fit of what this is going to be, but I still think he's going to be a really good tackle guard wherever you plug him in the NFL.
It makes me kind of wonder with Todd Monken and they run a lot more power and inside zone, right? Like it makes sense to have him with some inside zone if you're going to play him at guard, like to get a mover at the second level to go and pick off linebackers like that. That to me makes a lot of sense for a guy that go back to the combine, guys. You want to watch a very special athlete moving around the football field. His workout, lauded by several draft analysts. Brett Coleman from the Bootleg Football Show, and I don't remember where else he's affiliated with, but very widely respected NFL draft analyst, NFL analyst in general, said that it's one of, if not the most impressive on-field workout that he's ever seen. And he was standing on the field to watch it. Like, Fano moves so incredibly well. It's surprising to see him go to a team that's going to be primarily inside zone and gap schemes. But pulling offensive linemen, he can do that. He can land on targets at the second level. He's a quality pass protector. I think this, Eric, I'm right there with you. I think he's probably going to be a guard for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. And now we have the Giants on the clock at 10 after getting the pick for trading away Dexter Lawrence. And they can go a lot of different ways here. One guy that they were linked heavily with at 5 even was Caleb Downs, who is still available. And, he has some medical stuff that came out. Ruben Bain, we have DB for Life, Denver Broncos for Life 303 coming in saying Bain is falling. Not really. The top 10 talk always seemed a little bit out there just because of some of the not necessarily legal issues, but what happened off the field with him. If you don't know about that, it's definitely worth a Google. It broke publicly just a couple weeks ago, but teams have known about it. It is definitely something that was driving teams away. And then, of course, he has such a issue with length. He doesn't have it, and it did give him problems throughout college. That's an on-field reason as well. That he didn't seem to really be a top 10 guy outside of possibly Kansas City taking him had they not traded up or been stayed where they're at and got Delane where they were.
Yeah, Chiefs have always been that team that's willing to take some risk on character concerns, obviously. I mean, Tyreek Hill, when they took him, even their coaching staff. I mean, it came out today that one of their coaching staffs did something not so great. And they've had a couple of their coaching staffs now arrested over the last few years for some things. So, some teams are willing to risk that. I mean, Cowboys are one that's another that would be willing to take some character concerns. I mean, they did that with Micah Parsons when they took him. But it doesn't surprise me that he's falling. He's got some really good tape for sure for college football, but then there's some traits there that you're kind of looking at and saying, okay, how does this fit to the NFL? You got the pick?
Yeah, it's Mauiga, the Miami tackle. So they're adding hopefully a bookend after taking Evan Neal, the big Alabama tackle a few years ago that didn't pan out. Mauiga is another guy who's many are projecting him to play inside at guard, but he can possibly last out there at right tackle. And I mean, honestly, not surprised. Harbaugh is a guy that he loves the offensive line. He wants to make sure it is built. And they have some pretty sound offensive weapons. And, you want to see what you have in Jackson Dart. You need to do what you can to make sure you keep him upright. And in the case of Dart, you got to make sure you cut back on his running style and limit that a little bit because he is a danger to himself when he runs the ball. Mm-hmm. But getting an offensive lineman should definitely help with the pass protection aspect of it.
Well, and Mauigoa started at right tackle for, was it 2 years, I believe, at Miami? So he's got plenty of experience doing that. And to pair him alongside Andrew Thomas, who was in the running for Protector of the Year this last season, you're doing everything you can to help protect Jackson Dart, at least in the pocket. I mean, and if nothing else, you start him at right tackle and allow him to fail himself inside, which is what it sounds kind of like the Giants are doing with Evan Neal. Didn't they bring him back just a couple of weeks ago too, if I remember correctly? So it's an interesting pick. I like it. I think that this does a really good job of, again, surrounding your young quarterback with talent that can actually help him succeed. So, I like Mauigoa a lot. Just a good football player. If nothing else, you don't want to break down the traits or whatever. He's just a good football player, and that's all you need to know.
And thanks, Carl, for the name corrections. Maui Noah. Want to make sure we get them correct. And I know I absolutely butchered it when I first said it.
It's just so weird. How can you spell it that way and then say it that way? It just it doesn't line up one bit. It's like having the name Carl and it's spelled Batman. But anyway.
Well, it's like Enioma Owazurike. There's no N in that name. It's Eyoma. And it's pronounced Enioma. So it isn't Tua Tagovailoa. There's an N in that name, even though there's no N there. It's just that weird pronunciation, apparently. I've always thought it was Mauigoa. I've heard Maui Noah, but thanks for the clarification on that.
All good. But no, I mean, it's a good pick. Again, some injury concerns there that you've got to worry about of how well is he going to hold up at the NFL level. There's talk of him needing a cleanup surgery.
It was for a back too, wasn't it? A back injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can tell you, not me personally, but I've worked with enough people. My dad had back surgery. He was never the same afterwards. I've got people I work with that have had back surgeries. It's one of those, you never get better. It's just more to maintain. And it's always going to be that pain that's going to be there. And some of it's just going to have to play through. That's going to come down to the toughness, I think, of guys like Garrett Bowles. He's played through some injuries to last as long as he has. Now, I will say the funny thing with Garrett Bowles is it seems like he will have an injury and it looks like his leg is about to be chopped off because of how bad it looks. And then he's back the next week. But he doesn't miss a whole lot of games. So you know that guy's played through a lot in the NFL level. And some guys can do that and others can't. You know, I think of Julius Thomas. He is one of those guys that if he wasn't 100%, he probably wasn't playing. And great player, but just missed way too many games because he struggled with that idea of, hey, my ankle's not feeling the best today. I can't go.
Yeah, I just saw a very interesting fact that I think is worth sharing. So and this is about what the Jets did. In Campbell's first 2 drafts with the Lions, he selected 7th overall and took Penei Sewell, and then the 2nd overall the following year and took Aiden the defensive lineman out of Michigan, Aiden
Hutchinson.
Hutchinson, thank you. Well, Aaron Glenn, a disciple of Campbell's, last year with the Jets, number 7th overall, Armin Membao, a right tackle. And then this year, number 2 overall, David Bailey, the edge. Very different style players in both cases, but just found that to be a little bit interesting, following in his mentor's steps a little bit with those first 2 first-round picks that he had.
That's kind of fun.
Go ahead, Carl. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, you know, you see those teams that Lions were kind of hey, this is how you build a team. That they were kind of that face for a little bit, other than the Chiefs, of course. And so it doesn't surprise me that the Jets are trying to copy that. It always comes down to, can they get a quarterback? And I don't know if they're going to wait for 2027 or if they're going to try to get one this year. But no, I like those moves. Building the trenches. You can't go wrong building the trenches in the NFL. If you can't get a quarterback, build those areas because those will win you and lose you games. I remember Cowboys one year. I think Tony Romo went down with injury or something like that. And they still won a bunch of games because they had the best offensive line. They had a strong run game. And they were just able to control how the other team played. And so if you can do that, and like I said, on defense, if you can get after the quarterback and stop the run, you're doing pretty darn good. So I can't disagree with those choices.
All right. So we're sitting on the clock with number 11, even though they're only announcing the Fano to the Browns right now. The Dolphins are actually on the clock. I haven't seen the pick yet. So Lance, who do you think is going to be the guy here for the Dolphins?
Well, I can tell you right now that if this fell this way for any draft that my father-in-law, Tony, who is an avid Miami Dolphins fan going back like decades, that he's screaming for Caleb Downs to be drafted right here. It makes the most sense. That secondary is absolutely atrocious. They have pretty much nobody. I believe their starting cornerback is Storm Duck. Like that's a name, a blast from the past name from like the 7th round a handful of years ago. Like he is desperately in need for whatever help that you can get in the secondary. And Caleb Downs still being here, this is a dream scenario for Miami Dolphins fans. If it was me, this is exactly what I would do. You take the 3rd best player in this class, and I don't give a damn about positional value. I understand he's a safety, guys, but this dude, the football IQ, the range, the athleticism, tackling ability, he can drop in the box if you need him to. It makes so much sense for Caleb Downs here.
What about you, Carl?
I mean, if there was a wide receiver that was worth taking here, you just signed Malik Willis to a big contract, and then you got rid of his 2 best wide receivers. So that would maybe be a direction. Offensive line is another that you can't go wrong going in that kind of direction. And offensive line is going to dry up quick. You're not going to get to the 2nd round and be like, oh yeah, one of our top 3 guys fell to this spot. They're going to be gone by the end of round 1. But probably I'd agree with Lance. If I was picking here, I'd say, hey, let's just take best player because we need every position on this team. And if it's Caleb Downs, then that's the direction I'm willing to go at this point. You know, this is one of those drafts. I'm going
to say we're both wrong, and I would have been wrong too. Miami's not even picking at 11. The Dallas Cowboys have traded up.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you go.
Are they coming to get Downs then?
Like so that would be... with the Cowboys sitting at 12th overall, they're moving up 1 spot. Obviously, they must have gotten word that another team was probably trying to get up to 11 and go get the guy that they wanted. So they're moving up 1 spot to go get it. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if it is for Caleb Downs. It was a lot of love, and a lot of need for the Cowboys to just build up that secondary, which was absolutely atrocious last year. If you turn on the Broncos game from last year, they were playing like practice squad level players in that game because of how beat up that secondary was and just how much talent that there isn't in that secondary.
I'm curious
I don't blame them.
motive. Go ahead, Carl. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't blame them one bit for making that kind of decision to go make sure they get their guy. And like I said, I mean, it was fun to watch that Cowboys Broncos game and watch our offense just destroy them. But guys running wide open, that doesn't usually happen in the NFL. And part of that is, as Eric said, their secondary was just that bad. Guys had no clue what they were doing out there. Troy Franklin running wide open. And it couldn't even been worse because, Cortland Sutton had a couple of dropped touchdowns in that game. So the Broncos could have even destroyed him worse than the final score. And Caleb Downs, he's a guy that can come down, help in the run game. He can stay back there, be your deep safety, whatever you need. And I think he's such a good prospect, such a clean prospect. Every part of this game, you don't look at it and say it's a weakness.
Outside of the medicals, that was the only concern with him. That's probably what dropped him out of the top 10. But he is the pick there for the Dallas Cowboys. And on top of that, we know what they traded to move up that one spot. Obviously, they gave 12, but they also gave 177 and 180 overall.
I love it. I mean, my one question right before Carl jumped in there, and I'm sorry for stepping on your toes so many times here, dude. My one question here is, what does Miami have on the board right now that they are like comfortable moving on from a player like Caleb Downs? Is this Dylan Thieneman maybe? What is it's interesting here to see. I mean, Bain's still there. Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia, is still there. Mekhi Lemon is available, which is redundant given what their wide receiver room kind of looks like. I think that what's the motive here for moving off of Downs and trading down that one spot other than just get more draft capital, even though they have tons and tons already?
They weren't looking at Downs, so why not get those extra picks and still get your guy? I mean, it's moving down one spot. They likely took less than other teams that were possibly interested, but it's still they still net 2 picks and still get their guy and get their guy for a little bit cheaper as well. So that all plays a factor into it. They were doing a lot of work. Word was that they really wanted Fano and he was not there, but they weren't willing to move up to go get him. So maybe it is Monroe Freeling. He kind of fits that archetype of what the Packers were looking for there for a few years, with the general manager and the head coach coming over from Green Bay. So he could be an option for them, but this is a team that is just lacking in every single spot. So it very well could be anywhere for them because they are just they're so void of talent right now.
You think they would be willing to consider Ruben Bain since he's a Miami guy? That would get your fans excited, having it's not hometown kid, but just helped you get to the national championship. And I mean, edge is a need for sure. I could maybe see that be a direction they go.
Yeah, low moving costs. He's already in Miami, so you don't have to pay him to move anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, if anybody would have a slight edge in learning and reading into the off-field stuff that has occurred, it'd probably be them. Being, the local guy and the Miami player and happening there in Miami, if I remember correctly. So it very well could be. But again, it's just anywhere on this team. Like it could have been Downs, but it seemed like they eliminated him for medical reasons. Wide receiver, Mekhi Lemon is still very much an option for them because they really have next to nothing at wide receiver. Dylan Thieneman, I don't really see as a guy for them. It doesn't seem like defensive back has been really high on their list. They could even go Kenyon Sadiq if they wanted to and get him early because there's a lot of teams here that seem to be interested in him, including the Los Angeles Rams that seem pretty content on either trying to trade back and getting him later or just taking him at 13th overall. That is something that I've talked about a lot on the Trickle Zone over the last few days is the Rams with their interest in tight ends, and they're a team to watch that could impact the Broncos as well. If, Sadiq goes here, maybe that makes them willing to trade down a little bit. And word's been if they trade down, they're content with taking Eli Stowers even in the first round.
That's interesting. Stowers in the first round. That's an interesting one there. To get a receiver of that caliber to put into that room. I mean, I understand he's listed as a tight end, but he is more just a power slot more than an actual tight end. Like you don't want
He is viewed. So it was reported by Ian Rappaport. He is viewed as a wide receiver by many teams. And from what's come out since, it seems like it's almost every team views him as a wide receiver, with the often made comparison being Mike Evans.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, the size, the athleticism, the catch radius, the competitiveness that he plays at the catch point, there's a lot to like about Eli Stowers. That seems rich to me to get him into the top 32. I mean, I like him as a top 50 player, but yeah, that's exactly right. This class is so messy. I want to say funky to like that's the word, because it's so top heavy in positions that hold lesser value, like tight end, interior offensive line, safety, like linebacker, like the lesser